The Garden Report is powered by Prize Picks, the exclusive daily fantasy partner of the CLNS Media Network.
Hey, Bobby Manning here. Welcome to a practice edition of the Garden Report. Celtics, Pacers, in between games 1 and 2, reconvening this afternoon. Celtics got into practice over at the Auerbach Center. We were over there a little while ago. Pacers just talking at their team hotel, and just a lot of confidence from them in some of the things they did well. Note on things they need to do better. Certainly a few things defensively, and shaking off the loss. They've talked about how they've been there before. Many of the similar messages we heard from them last night, that they've had bad game 1 losses in particular in each round of these playoffs. So talking to Obi Toppin, talking to Tyrese Halliburton today, you still don't suspect that they're just going to crumble or fall apart. Despite how devastating that loss was last night, the turnover on the inbounds, Jaylen Brown's 3, Halliburton tough on himself, said like he felt like it was the first time he really cost his team with some of his mistakes, turnovers in particular, the biggest thing they have to clean up. And on the Celtics side, plenty for them to fix too. The lineups at certain points in that game gave up big runs to Indiana with double-digit leads disappearing within minutes. Big conversation today for Joe Mazzulla. Many of the questions: will he go smaller? Will he go to some options off his bench, namely O'Shea Brissett, Xavier Tillman at those front court spots that can deal with Indiana's speed a little bit better than Al Horford, Luke Kornet showed capable of in game 1. They were really able to attack the Celtics interior. Joe noting that you have to live with some of that stuff, as Al Horford did the other day, especially the mid-rangers. They're willing to give up some of those in favor of threes. Rick Carlisle saying today that they're willing to do the same. So a similar mindset on both sides, of course, produces the kind of game you saw yesterday, tight one right down to the wire, and I would expect that to continue in this series. I really don't expect many blowouts, if any, in this series based on the play style here. These teams just able to get back into it so quickly with the number 1, number 2 offense of all time. But don't expect any lineup changes, at least if Mazzulla was talking truthfully here today. Here's what he had to say about why he has some hesitation about shaking up the lineups completely here.
Joe, I know you guys didn't go to it a ton during the year, but in a series like this with a lot of speed, Indiana playing small at times, could Tatum at the 5 be an option here? Is that something you could think about, like an ultra small lineup at times?
Yeah, I mean, with their ability to play different lineups, the way they sub 2-3 guys at a time. They're willing to go away from sub patterns for certain guys. So you just got to be wary of going to anything and everything at any particular time. And it's something our guys have done a great job of, staying open-minded to whatever makes the most sense in the game and being ready to execute. So yeah, I think anything's on the table versus a team like this because of their versatility.
So injury report will be out shortly. We'll see. Of course, Xavier Tillman's out for personal reasons right now. Would expect they'll let him take his time with what he's dealing with right now, so he may or may not be available for game 2. And maybe Mazzulla just doing some subterfuge there in terms of hiding adjustments that they could be making in terms of lineups there. I have to imagine rebounding is a concern there too, even though it went unmentioned, against going super small, since they just haven't done it for a lot of this year. But I do think it's going to be important to at least try it in this series where the Pacers are so comfortable going inside and shooting over Horford and Kornet. But of course, Pacers started 12 for 21 in that game from mid-range. In overtime, they went 0 for 2. So living with it for a little while and hoping it comes back down to earth, a big part of the Mazzulla mantra. And it looks like they're going to continue to trust their core rotation, at least for now. Game 2 is tomorrow night. We'll have shoot-around coverage in the morning, and then, of course, all the coverage of the game after a classic last night. Really fun one to watch. I hope this one's even close to what we saw last night over at the Garden. We'll be there. For CLNS Media, Celtics All Access, subscribe and follow along with all our coverage of the Eastern Conference Finals. I'm Bobby Manning. There's been a practice edition of the Garden Report. Hey, Bobby Manning here. If you made it this far, you probably enjoyed this video, so subscribe, turn on notifications, and check out our social media platforms at Celtics CLNS